And welcome back, students. We're going to continue talking about the constructors. One of the last things we're going to talk about is the string tokenizer class. So let's get into what the string tokenizer class is. Well, this class is used to recover words in a multi-word string. Most often we see it used when we're reading an input. Now, one approach to reading keyboard input is to first read an entire line of input into a string. We've seen this before, like keyboard.nextLine, for example. So we could use that method nextLine, the scanner class, and then we can use the string tokenizer to decompose the string into words. So if I want to find out just a word within the string, this is how I can break it down. Now, we haven't done this previously back when we talked about strings because that would require us having knowledge of what a loop is and also having knowledge of what a constructor is. So let's get down into it. Talk about importing the class. The class string tokenizer is part of the java.util package. If you remember, that also included java.util.scanner. There's obviously a bunch of different methods available within the util package. This is just another one. Now, to use this in our program, simply add the following to the top of our program: import java.util.string tokenizer. All right, some common usage. The most common usage of the string tokenizer, as I already mentioned, is to decompose a line of input. So if someone types something in, then it breaks it down into the different words. However, you can use the class to decompose really any string. So in this example, I have string tokenizer word factory equals new string tokenizer, a single word can be critical, quote. Then I have a loop, which is going to analyze it. While word factory dot has more tokens, system.println word factory dot next token, which if you were to run that code would produce an output of a single word can be critical. Now, the constructor invocation new string tokenizer, a single word can be critical, produces a new object of the class string tokenizer. The assignment statement string tokenizer word factory equals new string tokenizer, a single word can be critical, gives the string tokenizer object the object name of word factory. Now, you can use any string that you want really in place of the text and quotes because it just is a string. So if your string was named name, you could put name in there, or you could put the text that name holds into there. So it's just like everything else that we kind of know with strings. Alright, now we've mentioned this term already, token, a couple times, so let's quickly define it. Any string tokenizer object created in such a way that is shown on the previous slide can be used to produce individual words in a string, known as tokens. So when we're looking at a string and we want to look at the individual word, each one of those words is what's known as a token. Alright, our first method that we're going to look at is the next token. The method next token returns the first token or word when it is invoked for the first time, and returns the second token the second time, third, the third, fourth, the fourth, so on and so on. If your code invokes next token after it has returned all the tokens in a string, then your program will halt and issue an error message. Alright, the next method is the has more tokens. Alright, because we previously talked on the last page, there's going to be an error message if you don't have any more tokens. Well, has more tokens is a good way to check to see if those tokens are there. So the method has more tokens is a method that just returns a value of type boolean, true or false. The method will return true as long as the next token has not returned all the tokens in the string. So if there's still words to be had in that string, it's going to be true. Otherwise, if all those tokens have been returned, it's false. Thus, an invocation of the method is, in this example, word factory dot has more tokens. Because it is a Boolean expression, it can be used to control a while loop, which in our previous example, it did. Alright, let's talk about choosing delimiters. This is very important to take note of here. When the constructor for string tokenizer is used with a single argument, the tokens are substrings of non-whitespace characters, with the whitespace characters acting as separators for the tokens. So in our previous example, that would mean that critical dot was our last token. And you'll notice that there is a period here. Technically, is period a word? No. And this is because we didn't specify the characters that we want. By default, it's just the white space character. A period is not a white space character. If we want to specify our own set of characters, it's going to require us to give a second argument to the constructor for string tokenizer. So, the second argument is a string. This is how we're going to set up. It's a string consisting of all the separator characters. Therefore, you want your separators to include blank spaces, new characters, period, comma, whatever you want as your separators. You're going to do something to follow. And you notice that this is very similar to the last example, except down here in this string right here. All right, it says, give me the word, my friend. We have the new line character, I have a period, and I have a comma. So this second string here is representing all the different potential characters that I want to use as delimiters. All right, then it just does has more tokens, the next token, and this one's going to say is give me the word, my friend. You'll notice that in that last example we just looked at, the period and comma are not part of the tokens produced because they're now token separators. So if I wanted to filter out those, I have to include this string of delimiters. You'll also notice that a string of token separators is the second argument in the constructor, as I already pointed out. You had the /n, you had, for the new line character, you had the period in there, and you had a comma in there. All right, count tokens. This is our last tokenizer method, just to return. So this is good if you want to count the number of words in a string, for example. This method will return the number of tokens to be returned by next token. Right, we've looked at things like string.length, which returns the length of the string, which simply tells you how many characters in a string. But if we want to look at how many words in a string, this is a good way to do that. Unlike our other methods, which have been either a string type or a Boolean type, this one's going to actually return a value of int because it's returning a numeric value. Makes sense. But that concludes our notes, folks. And that's the end of this.